Welcome to High Performance, the podcast for real estate agents featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, today we're going to talk about adapting to fast and slow markets, and I think that there's never a more relevant topic for the marketplace that we're in today, where we've got some sections of the country that are seeing boom-like conditions, multiple bidders, multiple people open for inspections, significant, reserves being achieved well over, in terms of auction scenarios. And then we've got other sections like the Pilbara here in Western Australia, where we're seeing, significant price reductions of properties falling from $1 million to now only selling for 250 to 300,000, where people are losing, up to 60 or 70% of the asset value after a mining boom. What are some of the things that, that an agent can do in either marketplace in order to be able to be really successful?
Josh, I think it's about always spreading the good work that you're doing. An example is an auction I've got today. We brought the auction forward 2 weeks. We've going to have 7 to 8 registered bidders. We've had a really successful marketing campaign. What we've done this week, though, to ensure that anyone in that area that's thinking about selling, we've invited them all to the auction. We've done an auction invite. We've explained to them why we've brought the auction forward. We've got a couple of vendors that are tossing up between us and other agents, getting them there. Your best sales team are the community around you. So I think it's about, I'm looking at the marketplace right now and everyone's complaining the stock levels are back 30 to 40%. Personally, I haven't seen that because I think it comes down to how hungry you are as well. And I'm seeing some agents out there, just not only within our company, that are becoming more successful because they're more hungry than the rest of them. And they're getting in front of more people. They're not having desperate conversations. They're having real conversations why they should be selling now. And it's about always progressing the client to getting them on now and creating some fear in their head that now's the best time. And you can do that in a low market. You can do that in a high market. But to us, we actually have the same dialogue all the way through. It just might be tweaked slightly to ensure that you're progressing everybody and they're listening with you and no one else.
And I think that really there's 3 types of motivation. There's owner motivation, there's buyer motivation, and then ultimately there's agent motivation. And usually where the formula goes wrong is that when one or all 3 are completely off. And I think that the reality of it is that it's really important that, you got to think that every single market that you work in mates the next market. And that if you just went through a significant boom market and now it's significantly come back like we're seeing in Western Australia, then the big drive is to understand, well, which of the owners are actually the most motivated, and which of the buyers right now are most motivated. And it actually is this a perfect time for people that have bought and have done well over time to actually now upgrade because the home that they want to buy is now cheaper than it's ever been before. And so from an upgrade perspective, then now's actually that time. So let's go and really chase that market. Or is it about understanding, okay, which out of all of the sellers that we've currently got on the market are in a position now that they actually want to see their property sold and that they've got other motivation reasons, might be divorce, might be deceased estate, might be moving interstate, might have got a new job somewhere else or a relocation. And so that's actually the reasons why they've got to go and do it. But I think that the important thing is to understand that everything that we do inside of business is about getting really clear about where the opportunities might lie. Now, there are some sections, like say, for example, in South Australia, where a number of the agents are reporting that they feel that spring has come late this year and that they're going to have a very late run into December. What's your view on that? Do you think that that's actually the case, or that maybe, the agents weren't prospecting as good as they could have been in June and July to have a big August to then lead into a significant September and October?
Yeah, I think that's probably excuses because all of a sudden it's January and then December's gone. They've only sold 2 or 3 properties. So they haven't, I think, explained to vendors throughout the year on the best times of year to sell. So they've got in the vendor's head, 3 or 4 times throughout the year that, December's not a good selling month, which it isn't. And there's many reasons for that. And I'm sure that's across the country as well. So I think, the excuses have been made. They're looking at other agents that have been successful. They're not as successful as what they may be. That they're becoming more desperate, and they're not having the right conversations with people and really understanding on why they're selling and asking, probably sort of looking at, okay, well, why are they sitting on the fence? What do we need to do to get them off the fence? Do they need to, are they going to buy first? And what that means if they buy first in scenarios of properties you've sold where they've bought, properties haven't sold, they're owning 2 pieces of real estate. Do you want to have $5 million out there in the market, or do you want to have just your home? It's about really, because the vendors, I think, don't really think about it as well. They just think, okay, no, we've got to buy first. It's too hard to uproot the family. It's going to be, we don't want to rent. But what about if your property doesn't sell and you've got a 100% loan on the next one, and you're coming into Christmas and there's a month that the property won't be on the market? Can you afford to do that? And they're the conversations that you need to have, and then you're building rapport with them at the same time. You're looking more like an advisor than just a real estate agent saying sell now, it's the best time. But why? It's been smart about it.
I think that ultimately you got to live out a season, and then you got to know how to work the season. And that's either a boom market, a bust market, a challenged market in terms of supply, any of the above, and actually give people real reasons to make that decision to go ahead. And I just understand that if you want to run a business where you don't want to be pushing hard in December, because that's not a great time to be pushing hard, then actually make that decision to push really hard in June and July, so that you've actually got really good stock for August, because that leads to a bigger September. And don't allow the excuses of weather and what's happening in the marketplace and the perceptions, because other things come at play which are outside of your control. APRA makes a change. There's a change in relation to interest rates. There's something else outside of your control which actually prevents you from hitting that level of success. And so I always say to people that it's that real hunger and that determination to get really clear about making sure that you are listing consistently. And Alex, I've just never met a real estate agent that has listed consistently that doesn't sell well. And so therefore, the number one measurement for me is always about making sure that we are listing consistently and getting that right amount of stock on board, so then we can be selling consistently. Thoughts on that?
I think it's about, if you've always got a lot of stock, you're meeting 200 people a weekend at open homes. You've got vendors plowing through websites, looking at choosing agents. You've got 10 listings. The other guys have got one. It's just that flow-on effect, and it just continually rolls and rolls and rolls and builds, and you'll be always in front of that vendor in your marketplace. So it's an interesting thing that you've got to be listing ahead of the curve. You've got to be explaining to people why. You've got to be on the market certain times of year and different events throughout the year, holidays, religious holidays, long weekends, things like that that will ensure that you've always got the maximum amount of exposure to then what it is. It's been an attraction agent, and that is what will attract people to you, and they want to use you. You don't need to sell yourself.
I think this is the big challenge. Now is almost too late to be prospecting for January and February sales next year. That's something that's got to continually be happening, and you've got to be making sure that before you go on holidays in at the start or middle of December, that you've actually already got all of your listing stock for February auction dates, whether or not that's the 11th or the 18th of February, and that you're in a position now that you can sell a lot of that stock off market in transactions in either December or early January, so that when you do come to launch on the market in early January, you've already got that success. And I think that people just don't understand that if their major lead generator is open for inspections and you don't have your first open for inspection until potentially, say, the 4th of February, it's going to be very hard to kick a good quality business. You get your first open for inspection coming back into maybe the second weekend in January, all of a sudden you're starting to meet buyers. You've got signboards up. You're now starting to actually really drive. And you're actually getting a jump on everyone else in the marketplace who's already on holiday for the whole of January, either mentally or physically, and you're actually back in there making the business drive. So I think that the big secret here is to make sure that you're always planning, be far more aggressive than you think you need to be, and learn to read the rhythm of a market to see where the opportunity is. Is it in re-signing agency agreements? Is it about getting offers on properties? Is it about getting price reductions? Or is it purely just about continually managing the amount of stock that you're bringing to market?